Up next on an all-new Rick and Rick,
Stranger Things goes from Eggo to Lego.
Sony's new cloud gaming pact with Microsoft is huge news. But did PlayStation get the memo?
The stunning new spot from LaCoste that goes ooh la la with amazing CGI VFX. PDQ, CV play.
Plus, meet the Chief Engagement Officer, why the CMO role isn't what it used to be.
And toss in a side of loaded questions because it's all starting right here, right now.
On the one show where everybody's name is Rick.
And everybody rules the world. Hey everybody, Rick and Rick are in the house. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rick Matheson, and I am joined, as always, by mon ami, Rick Wootten. That's a little French for you, Rick. I think it means my friend, or else did you remember to turn off the gas? I'm not totally sure. Anyway, how you doing?
Oh, man, I had a great weekend. I meant to tell you, I went and saw the new John Wick movie. I think it's called Parabellum. Have you seen the commercials for this?
It's been on my radar. Don't know a lot about it.
This movie is fantastic. It's a roller coaster of like ups and downs. The action is constant. You get a couple emotional moments where you're cringing in your seat because you just want him to stop what he's doing, and then on the other hand, you're like, yes, do it more, and to another scene. It's actually pretty incredible. And of course, you've got cute puppy dogs in there. You got Holly Berry, who, by the way, I read this bit. Holly Berry and Keanu Reeves trained with guns for 6 months to be able to pull off some of the scenes they did in the movie, and it absolutely showed. They were fantastic in this.
I will check it out. I'm still recovering from our last episode. I was having like nightmares about all the parents naming their kids after Game of Thrones characters, all the Theon and Sherris. I kept having like these visions of like all these little hoders running around with saggy diapers. Hoder. Melt that freaking iron throne down and get some little iron porta potties out here so the little hoders have a place to unhode.
I saw an article this last week, and they were talking about all these people who named the kids after this stuff. And I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but particularly, I must have seen it today, because particularly after last night's episode, all the parents that named their kids Daenerys are regretting it, and they are going to the internet in droves to complain about this. And so, I guess this is the moral of the story is don't name your kid until the season ends.
We've got a movie coming out this week that I think we're going to have to do a review of. It's that BrightBurn movie. I was wondering. I knew it was out there somewhere, so it's finally here.
Yeah, I heard about it for a little bit, and then it went quiet, and then boom, it's coming out this Thursday. So I'm interested to see it. It's going to be fascinating to see how they take on this, and I'm really surprised that somebody's allowing this movie to be made. I mean, I would think that it's not really canon, and they really wouldn't want it to go that direction. But there you have it.
Yeah, I don't think it is actually the characters. I think their last name is BrightBurn. I noticed they had different names, so it is not literally Clark Kent.
Okay.
This is a movie that essentially takes off the mythology around young Superman, Kal-El, crash landing on Earth in Kansas. They've got scenes right out of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, but they play it differently, where instead of this wonderful little kid, he's kind of like a demon seed. His powers start to manifest, and it's bad news for everybody. It looks really fun.
I'm in.
You got to explain this Stranger Things playset here.
Tell me this thing isn't awesome. So, I don't know if this is it has to be an official Lego set. But anyways, they did a Stranger Things diorama, basically. And what they did is genius. They made it the upside down and the real world stacked up on Legos. And so it's like a mirror image of each other. And so on the top part, you've got all the main characters. You got their, Ford Bronco, their, radio equipment. They're running around looking for their missing friend. And then on the lower part, they've got the missing friend in this darker version. They have the missing friend and one of those creatures from the show kind of running around down below. It is absolutely fantastic and super creative.
I think it was pretty cool. They got the buyer's house up at top, and it's got like the alphabet Christmas lights in the living room, and you've got Joyce Byers with an axe in her hand and a terrified look on her face. Hours of fun for the whole family here, folks.
I have seen a Lego box, and it says for ages 9 to 99.
Oh, well, hey. As long as it says that. We've seen about Sony's gaming pact Uh-oh.
Oh my God, this is crazy. So, I mean, look, within the console wars, you've got two sides. You've got Xbox and you've got PlayStation. And so the announcement today is that the Sony team decided to partner with the Microsoft team to do streaming games. And this is, look, it isn't the Xbox and the PlayStation division. It's really the tech sides. It's the IT folks at Sony and the IT folks at Microsoft. But I mean, wow, this is like DC Comics and Marvel deciding to go in and produce a movie together. I mean, this is a big deal. This is kind of crazy. But the funny part of the story, and you picked up on this, is the people at the PlayStation division didn't know until it was announced, and so they
Roll.
freaked out. And so they're running around like, "What's going on? What do you mean?" Anyway. But this is going to be interesting because on Microsoft's side, I mean I don't think people realize how big of a cloud infrastructure they have, but they have a very big, large, sophisticated cloud infrastructure. And so a company like Sony, who that's not their main business, trying to have this streaming game service, and they've been in it for a few years now. Sony's actually done a pretty good job with that, but they've had issues from a technical standpoint, keeping it up, having enough bandwidth, having enough processing power, what have you. Microsoft's got that stuff dialed. So this is actually a fairly rational partnership. It's just a little ironic that it's two very big competing companies.
Gotcha. So for PlayStation owners or aficionados, gamers, this is all good news in general, just
Yeah.
surprised the team, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. So, we were talking about this the other day, game as a service or platform as a service or what have you. This is actually the next generation of that, where you stop buying the game and installing it on your device, and instead, all of the rendering, all of the, compute is done in the cloud, and all that your console's doing is displaying the image. And because of this, they can have very inexpensive hardware. So you could, with some of them, you could actually use a tablet, or you could use, an inexpensive laptop to display these games. So that's specifically what this is around. It's about
Wow.
those games that are stored in the cloud that are, still, high fidelity 4K 1080 games that are being pushed down from a display standpoint onto the screen of the user. So next gen stuff.
That's cool. Great. We're going to need to take a quick break here, folks. When we come back, it's time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. And we're going to be talking about the new role of the CMO. So hang tight. Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, don't forget to check out our website at rickandrick.com. It's double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com. And we're back. It is time now for the good, the bad, and the marketing. LaCoste France, fashion brand, shoes, clothes. They got this great spot. It's part of a larger campaign that's called Life is a Beautiful Sport. This commercial features this young couple, early 20s, and they're like in their first flat in Paris, and they're having a really heated argument. She kind of turns her back on him for just a second, and she's starting to see little crumbs from the ceiling falling, and then all of a sudden you come to realize that their flat, the building that it's in, starting to split apart. They're suddenly moving farther away from each other, and then there's this giant chasm between them. They look at each other, and it's like, oh, crud. And so they both try to run down their respective sides, going down, the crumbling stairways, jumping to the fire escape, and they can't get to each other. So they've got this heart-wrenching moment where they're kind of looking at each other, and she starts to walk away from him, and he's looking like, oh, God, is she leaving? She's not. She turns around, and she takes full use of the running room there and leaps, and through the power of whatever these LaCoste tennis shoes and her clothing makes it all the way across the chasm there. By this point, each side of the building is starting to go diagonal. They
Wow.
slide down the floors, out the door, they're running, and they embrace each other just as the facade of the building collapses on them, but there happens to be an open window, so they are okay. They're left standing there. But by the time all the dust settles, they're back in their flat, and none of this happened. It was just the emotional state they were in when they did feel that there was this chasm between them. Really evocative spot. The VFX are incredible. It's spectacular.
The set of commercials, this particular brand campaign, goes back 4 or 5 years. I saw an ad from 2014 where it was a couple who kind of catches each other's eye across a crowded train track, loading area, and they kind of go through this. She goes into the train first, and then he tries to pursue her to catch up with her to introduce himself. And as they, the whole thing starts out maybe in the 1920s or 30s, and as they move through the different cars that she's ahead and he's trying to catch up, the time around them is warping, and so then it's the 40s, then the 50s, then the 60s. It's this incredible special effects, and eventually, she stops at a car and he comes out to meet her, and the two train cars separate, similar to what you're talking about with the room, and he ends up having to jump on another train and then leap hundreds of feet to land on the other train to get back together with her, and then the train crashes, and it's very dramatic. And so anyways, I think this is a campaign they've been doing for a while, and even that one is just visually stunning. I think this is a great spot.
Totally fresh. Speaking to the emotion of this campaign, it's probably a good segue for talking about this piece that you sent over today about the changing role of the CMO.
Absolutely, and this is something that we talked about a bit, right? I mean, this article I sent over is actually a little over a year old, but it just came to my attention this week. And the interesting thing is, and again, we've talked about this, is that the role of the CMO has gone from the historical thing where it was about doing brand campaigns and doing advertising and trying to get views and all that, to adapting over time to be more of a emotional connection to the customer, to the prospect. And so in this Forbes article that's titled "Why a Chief Marketing Officer's Role is Not What It Used to Be," they kind of talk through that, and they talk about how important it is for companies to associate with their customers in an emotional level. And I think this is actually what you and I have been talking about when it comes to Taco Bell or KFC or Burger King, with these great ads that they're doing where they're doing something completely different, right? What was Burger King doing with the hijacking the Whopper at the McDonald's? They're really trying to connect with people at an emotional level, competitive level. And I think that's what we're seeing. And that's what Forbes has been talking about in this article.
Overall, when I first started going through the article, I thought, well, marketing's always been about creating emotional connections. But the thing is, I think we just forgot. I think that we knew once upon a time that you weren't buying a mattress, you were buying a good night's sleep. You weren't buying brakes, you were buying protection for your most beloved children. Actually, all of your children. But I think that is a meta theme, that the brand isn't the sum total of your marketing stack. I think we just forgot that and thought, well, I can reach this many eyeballs and do this many conversions or whatnot. And ultimately, that's not going to be competitive against brands that are going that extra mile and creating that emotional connection. So there may be, you said it several episodes ago, this kind of return to old school marketing. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a high time that we got the muscle memory back on those emotional attachments, connections, and engagement.
I agree with you. And I think what we're seeing is, for so long now, we've been so focused on the hype cycle, and we've been focused on, getting that first impression and, getting them through the door, and, that first initial push, that we've forgotten in the past the value of that long-lasting relationship with the customer. And some brands haven't. I mean, you look at Apple. Apple's a prime example of this. They do a great job at managing it and keeping a long-term relationship. Certainly Google's been trying to do that. Facebook's been very successful. But there's a lot of companies who aren't, and they've been so focused on this narrow view. And so when we see things that go outside of that, I think that's where you and I get really excited, and that's what this article is talking about. That's how you get people to stick, not just get there the first time, but to stick.
We do need to take a break, and when we come back, it is time for loaded questions. So stay tuned. All right, we are back. Welcome everyone to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick, are you ready for some loaded questions?
I'm as ready as I can be.
So my first question is, by the New York Times last count, there are at least how many Gen Xers confirmed to be running for president? A, 14, B, 11 plus 2 possibilities depending on birth dates, C, 11 plus 3 if you count Jared Leto, D, 11 plus Mayor Pete if he's lying about his age, because otherwise he's actually the first millennial to run for president, or E, B, C, and D, though we're still waiting for Molly Ringwald to decide if she's in or out. How
That's
many
awesome.
Gen Xers are frickin' running for president in the 2020 election cycle?
I thought it was 38, so I'm not going to get this one right. I'm going to go with E, B, C, or D.
You are correct. So
Yes.
at least one of these answers, there are at least 11. I do not believe a Gen Xer, I could be wrong, I have to check this, but I do not believe a Gen Xer has ever run for president. And here we have a millennial running this time. Question 2. According to a new survey, what percentage of enterprises are fully compliant with the looming California Consumer Privacy Act that goes into effect just over 6 months from now? A, 20%. B, 2%, C, 14%, D, 19%, or E, what the hell is the California Consumer Privacy Act?
I'm going to say 2%. I think it's extremely low.
I totally would have guessed that, but no. According to Marketing Land, still pretty bad, only 14% of enterprises are fully compliant so far with the law that has sweeping new privacy protections put in place beginning, I want to say it is January 1st. Now, here's a really fun fact. This week, as we're recording this, marks the 1-year anniversary of all the fun and hilarity that was the launch of GDPR.
Yeah, GDPR was tough, but this California one, I'm surprised that 14% are ready. I would say that it's less than that.
Question number 3. Calvin Klein's new I Speak My Truth in #MyCalvins campaign caused an uproar for featuring supermodel Bella Hadid in a sensuous lip lock with which of the following? A, Lil Miquela, a popular but completely computer-generated online fashion influencer. B, Shadu, a popular but completely computer-generated online fashion influencer. C, Cardi B, a popular but completely cool music and fashion icon, or D, Bella's own hand puppet, which she likes to call Topo the Bongo Playing Octopus. Which of these were featured kissing model Bella Hadid in a controversial new Calvin Klein ad?
Well, you know I want it to be bongo, but I know it's not. I mean,
One of these
I
things
need
it's gonna
more
be that.
bongo in my life.
That's right.
I think it was Little Miquela, right?
You are correct. So Lil Miquela is a popular but completely computer-generated online fashion influencer, and in this ad, it featured the two of them in a lip lock. I didn't see that curveball coming. When I saw controversy, I thought it was going to be about people saying, oh, I haven't seen women kissing, and that wasn't it at all. It was that they weren't necessarily properly representing. They didn't draw from the actual universe of people that they could have. So I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, great job there. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Please tune in next time for The One Show, where everybody's name is Rick and everybody rules the world.
Thanks so much, everyone.